Hello and welcome to another video, and today I'm not going to be flying anywhere. If you've watched my last video, which is my Bonza video, you would have noticed I said I was going to be flying on Rex up to Brisbane, and I did. And then I flew on Virgin to Canberra, and I had a bit of a whoopsie with the SD card, and I managed to snap the SD card in half and lose all the footage. That's what happens when you're careless with your equipment. Lesson learned. And I'm really disappointed I lost that footage. It's actually a bit of a disaster. Let's start from the beginning. The Rex flight was really good. I got upgraded to business class. I think I bid $30 on my really cheap economy fare anyway. And I had a great time. The internet didn't work on that aircraft, but aside from that, it was a really good experience with the Rex. Delicious sandwich, which I had saved the footage from on my phone for some reason, so I might even insert that here while I continue to talk. But all in all, the Rex business class experience was absolutely fantastic, and one I would recommend to anyone, especially with such cheap upgrades on the Bid Now system that they have. The Virgin experience, on the other hand, it wasn't entirely their fault, but the way it was handled was an absolute disaster. So I was on the last flight of the night home to Canberra, and that aircraft was held up in Sydney for a considerable amount of time as there was thunderstorms overhead the airport in Sydney. And eventually, about 20 minutes before the scheduled departure, they cancelled the flight. And from there, it just went downhill. The flight was cancelled due to crew hours, so it was the airline's responsibility to fix us up. And unfortunately, their system for fixing these things, it's just not, it doesn't seem right. So it took over an hour for me to get a hotel, and I was one of the last passengers to actually get a hotel, despite the fact I was the only business class PAX and probably one of the few solo travellers from what I could see. And you'd think solo travellers easier to find a hotel for, get it done. Also, Gold Velocity member. It's a little bit disappointing that they didn't fix it up straight away. The other disappointing thing to see was that the last ones with me to be fixed up were a family with, I think, 3 or 4 young kids. And I just think that's wrong. You know, it was quite late at night. I think it was about 10 o'clock by the time I got to the hotel. And it would, I think, you know, prioritise the families and prioritise your premium guests. It's not a good look otherwise. The hotel itself, I wasn't real impressed. It was now I'm testing myself here. I'm not sure what it was. It'll come to me. Hang on. It'll come to me when I look on my phone. That'll definitely come to me, won't it? Where are we? Qualifier has expired. Well, that's great. It was a ritzy brand, one that I don't usually stay in, and I was really disappointed with it. Anyway, the hotel still expected me to do a $100 deposit, and I don't think that's the greatest either. Like, the airline should be covering that as well. Like, there might be people on the flight, you know, that have been on holiday, spent all their money, they're going home, they might not have $100 in the bank, you know, they've spent all their savings to go on holiday. The airline should be making sure that's accounted for. The other thing which really annoyed me was the taxi vouchers. Now, the taxi vouchers were limited, and again, this is testing me because it was a while ago. The taxi vouchers, I'm thinking, were $50 or maybe $60, and either way, it was only just enough to get me to the hotel I was at. But everyone, no matter what hotel you're getting, where you're getting the same taxi voucher. It was just a digital voucher. You scan it like FPOS, and the cab driver gets the fare. And I think it's a little bit frustrating that it's a set amount and not set for a trip. So, like, for example, when I worked at Qantas, and I'm not saying Qantas does things differently, but I'm saying when I did work at Qantas, I had a day where I was unfit to drive home because of an injury I had at work, and I was given a cab charge voucher. Now, that cab charge voucher had written on it my start point, which was Canberra Airport, and my home address, which is my finish point. And no matter what the fare was between there and home, it covered it. Yeah, okay, so my GoPro just decided to turn itself off. That's fantastic, isn't it? So yeah, basically it covers the entire length of the journey, no matter what, and that's a much better way of doing it. In addition to that, they gave you $30 to use on food and beverages at the hotel. And the hotel I was at, that was not even enough for any of the main courses on their menu, breakfast, lunch or dinner. If you're going to be an airline that's going to provide vouchers for people when they're disrupted, at least make it so they can actually cover what the intended voucher is for. I understand there has to be a limit, but if you're going to send someone to an expensive hotel, make sure that the food, like, you can cover the food. That's all I'm saying. The return flight the next day, I ended up on a 737-700, which I was very excited about in the end. That was the only sort of really exciting thing about it. They tried to put me onto a 6 a.m. flight, and by then I'd been up since 4 a.m. Canberra time, which is 5 a.m. in Brisbane. It was 10 o'clock by the time I left the airport. So 11 p.m. Canberra time. I said, no, I need a later flight. I'm not going on a 6 a.m. flight. Absolutely no way. So I think the flight I got was about 8 a.m. because the next one after that wasn't until, I think, 3 o'clock. So yeah, 8 a.m. it was, or 9 a.m., something around there. And the onboard experience was absolutely fantastic. As always with Virgin, I was in business class, got this lovely egg and cheese quesadilla with sour cream on top, and it was absolutely delicious. So yeah, aside from the whole disaster of that whole thing and losing my footage, which I was so disappointed about, it was a pretty good trip. So I'm standing here at Canberra Airport in my usual spot. And just behind me here is obviously the QantasLink hangar, and that 717 there is the first 717 to be retired. So appropriate, I know. My next video, which you will see next Monday, which will be the 27th of March, will be on board a 717, going from Canberra to Sydney. I've got a bit of a trip planned. This video will be going live at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, just for something a little bit different because I couldn't get it filmed in time, as yesterday was 36 degrees in Canberra and I was not going to come out and film it in that heat. So yeah, that video will be out next Monday, and as you're watching this now, I will be flying on board a Rex Saab on some New South Wales regional routes if you're watching this right as it comes out. So that will feature, and I'm going to travel on a Rex 737 again to fill in that blank, hopefully in business class. I'll put in some upgrade bids to see if I get a go, and just to fill in that little gap, we'll be flying on a QantasLink Dash 8 300 as well, which will be featured on the channel. So make sure you're subscribed for that, get the bell on so you don't miss anything, and I will make sure in the future I am more careful with my SD cards. And hopefully the new battery I've got for my GoPro, which I'll have for this upcoming trip, is going to work properly and may solve the problems I'm having with the GoPro. Anyway, until then, don't forget to like this video for my stupidity, subscribe so you don't miss another video, and comment down below what an idiot I am. Anyway, see you next time when I'm traveling on a QantasLink 717.